All right. So I passed the CPAT test, Candidate Physical Assessment Test. It's a test made for firefighters, and you have to do 8 events. They're all there's 9 events, but they're all like things that a firefighter would do during like a typical fire. Um, and I severely underestimated it. Back in October, I actually took it before, and I timed out on the last event. I was too slow. I was also pretty out of shape. This was before I was squatting every day, and I never done a practice run of anything. When I took the test, that was the first time I ever actually like tried it. So I actually started doing this squat every day thing. Um, Part of to like help motivate me to do it, but also just because, it's something I wanted to do before, and I was able to get into a lot better shape as far as strength goes. But as far as my conditioning went, I haven't really made too much of an improvement, at least not until like the past month. Um, so I mean, I wanted to say a couple of the tips that I took from. I passed with a minute left, which is really good time, minute 9 seconds. So I just wanted to say some of the things that really helped me as far as like training for the CPAT. Um, First things first, you have to work on your conditioning. That's by far the biggest one. You should be running miles, run a mile or two at a decent pace, and just really get it to the point where you're completely exhausted. Um, so that, you have to work on the mental toughness part of it as well as the physical toughness. Of course, there's certain events that are strength focused. There's one where you have to sledgehammer a door open, the breach entry. And that's like complete strength. If you have a really strong upper body, which I don't, it's important. And if you don't have a strong upper body, you can have really good form and still make decent time, but it'll be more difficult. Like the really strong guys can usually sledgehammer a door open in like 4 or 5 hits. And then it took me 9 hits because I have a really weak upper body. But I was using my hips. And the first time I did it, it took me like 15 hits. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that strength isn't the most important thing when it comes to this. It's all about mental toughness. And there's a decent amount of technique, specifically that last one, the ceiling pull. That's pretty difficult to do. As far as the technique goes, there's a certain way when you're, when you're opening, like pushing the latch open, you want to grab the pole at the bottom, and then when you're bringing the weight down that latch at the second part, you want to grab the pole at the top, and then kind of use your weight to come down. That's pretty much technique right there. And something that you should really know is that when you're doing it, you're going to be so exhausted that you forget. Like, you can watch a million videos on how to do these events, but when you're really tired, it's going to be like difficult to remember how you do everything. So that's a big one. It's just, if you can, do a practice run. You should do a practice run. That way you actually know like what it actually feels like when you're doing these things. Because when you're super exhausted, it's really hard to remember. That's what happened to me at the first time when I took it in October. I was doing the ceiling pull, and I was so tired that I like wasn't getting it. I wasn't pushing enough because I wasn't holding the pole correctly. So I wasn't like doing it enough, and it became more difficult to do it because I was so exhausted. And because I was so exhausted, I had bad form, so I wasn't doing it right, which only made me more exhausted. It was like one of those things, and then I timed out. So, yeah, and then the maze. The maze is another one that, it's good to do a practice run just so you know what the maze is like. It's not that difficult. I actually got lost in October when I first took it. I got lost in the maze. I lost like 30 seconds or something like that because I went backwards because I Oh, what had happened is there's a one obstacle where it's like halfway tall enough, and you have to like, uh, yeah, like the bottom half is like wooden panel, and then you have to like vault through it, through the top half of it. And what I was doing is like I was just like I knew to put my hand on the right side of it. So on the right side of the maze, I just kept touching that part, but I realized like I was feeling in front of me, and I felt that like bottom panel of it, and I was like, oh, like I need to like go around it. I got lost. I didn't realize like I should have felt above, and I would have realized that, oh, okay, like I just have to go over this the bottom part through the top part. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is use your right hand to put on the maze so you can feel what you're doing, and then use your left hand to scan up and down so that you can kind of feel about what the maze is like. Luckily, I don't have claustrophobia, but what was it? When you're really exhausted, it actually is super uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, that claustrophobia part for sure is a lot more difficult when you're really tired. But also, like, if panic sets in, like, that sucks. Like, I got a little panicked in October, and that actually takes a lot of energy out of you. You, like, start breathing shallower, and, it's embarrassing. Anyway, that's probably the biggest things. Oh, yeah, hose pull. When you're doing the hose pull, you want to use, like, big pulls. With my dominant arm is my right, so I was using, like, big pulls with my right arm. It's a lot better than just doing like a million small pulls. So it's a little bit faster. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the mental toughness is the biggest thing, because I mean everyone knows Stairmaster is the hardest one, or I guess the last one's the hardest one because they're all consecutive. But the Stairmaster is really tough. A lot of people just fail out on the Stairmaster; they just can't do it, and it sets the tone for the whole thing. You're gonna be pretty tired. So I was able to make really good strides in how I did it. And yeah, it was good. Anyway, oh, by the way, this workout, I did it after the CPAT. That last one I was doing is for my hip impingement. I was pulling on it with the band, and that was for my shoulder impingement, just hanging on the bar. So yeah, that's all. See you guys tomorrow.